That night, I only wanted a place to sleep. But what found me under that bridge wasn't human. The city was dead long ago. Only broken steel, empty roads, and the distant whisper of the wind remained. I walked down the cracked highway, my boots echoing in the silence, my mind heavy with exhaustion. There were no streetlights anymore, only shadows. Up ahead, the shape of an old steel bridge cut through the fog like a scar. It looked abandoned, but something about it felt alive. A faint blue glow shimmered beneath the bridge, spreading across the wet ground like liquid light. I pulled my bag tighter and kept moving forward, even though everything inside me screamed to turn back. As I stepped closer, the air changed. The wind stopped breathing. The world froze around me as if time itself had forgotten how to move. I could hear my heartbeat, loud, uneven. Then a sound slipped through the stillness, a soft melodic hum. It wasn't human. It wrapped around me like invisible hands pulling me closer. Under the bridge, the ground was damp and cold. The walls were covered with glowing symbols I had never seen before. They pulsed like veins under translucent skin, brightening and dimming with that strange hum. My flashlight flickered once, then died completely. The darkness swallowed everything. And then, out of the mist, they appeared. 3 figures stepped forward. They didn't walk. They floated with silent grace, like the night itself was carrying them. Their skin shimmered faintly, their faces smooth and strange, too beautiful to be human. One moved ahead of the others. Her eyes burned like liquid silver, unblinking, piercing straight through me. She wasn't just looking at me. She was inside my head. She whispered my name without opening her mouth. Danny. Every muscle in my body locked. No one knew my name out here. No one should. The mist curled tighter around my ankles, pulling me toward her. Her name came to me before she even spoke it. Gamora. Her hair floated as if underwater, glowing faintly. The other 2 aliens circled like silent guards. Their bodies were wrapped in something that moved like skin, but glowed like stars. No weapons. And yet I knew they could tear me apart if they wanted to. Gamora raised her hand. The world trembled. My bag lifted off the ground on its own, spinning slowly in the air, as if gravity had stopped caring. A cold vibration ran up my spine. My knees hit the wet floor. She leaned forward so close that I could feel her breath, even though she didn't breathe. "You don't belong here," she whispered, "but we've been waiting for you." My throat burned. My heart raced. A bright streak ripped through the night sky above the bridge. I tilted my head and saw it, a massive, black shape hanging among the clouds. It wasn't a plane. It wasn't a drone. It was a ship, bigger than anything I'd ever imagined, its surface crawling with blue veins of light. Gamora's guards raised glowing spears made of light. They didn't touch me. They trapped me in a cage I couldn't see. The symbols on the wall flared, spinning faster, humming louder, until the sound drilled into my skull. "Why me?" I forced the words through shaking lips. Gamora stepped closer. The glow in her eyes dimmed to something almost human. "Because you're the last." Her hand pressed against my chest. For one impossible moment, the world fell away. I saw cities burning, a sky on fire, alien children screaming beneath collapsing towers. I felt their pain, their loss, as if it were my own. Then the vision vanished. I opened my eyes and gasped. The bridge was gone. The ground beneath me had turned into smooth, glowing metal. I was standing in the belly of their ship. The air smelled clean, too clean, like a place where nothing human belonged. Around me, alien lights pulsed like a heartbeat. Gamora stood at the edge of the platform staring down at me. "Welcome aboard, Danny," she said softly, her voice a promise and a threat at the same time. "You're not going home." And before I could move, the floor beneath my feet disappeared into darkness. The darkness didn't feel empty. It felt alive. Cold air rushed past my ears as if I were falling through an endless tunnel. My body twisted in weightless space, and the sound of my heartbeat echoed louder than anything else. Then, without warning, my feet hit solid ground. I collapsed, gasping, trying to breathe in air that didn't feel like earth. The floor beneath me was smooth, metallic, glowing faintly blue. It pulsed like veins under skin. the same light I'd seen beneath the bridge. Above me, a massive dome arched into the shadows, lined with moving patterns of silver and gold. Every wall shifted, like the ship itself was breathing. "Don't fight it!" The voice slid through the air, soft, calm, but heavy with power. I looked up. Gamora stood a few feet away, her silver eyes glowing brighter than before. No guards this time, just her. I tried to move, but my body wasn't listening. It felt like invisible chains wrapped around me. She stepped closer, every movement slow, controlled, like she knew I couldn't escape even if I wanted to. Where am I?" I whispered. She tilted her head slightly as if tasting the sound of my fear. "Home." My blood ran cold. Home? I had none left, but this place wasn't mine either. The walls shifted again. A corridor opened behind her, spiraling downward like the throat of some giant creature. She raised her hand, and the invisible force around me lifted me off the ground. My feet no longer touched anything. I floated, helpless, following her into the glowing corridor. The deeper we went, the warmer it became. A soft vibration filled the air, like a heartbeat, only not human. Strange blue plants grew from cracks in the walls, glowing softly as we passed. Alien symbols etched into the metal pulsed to the rhythm of my breath, as if the ship could hear me. At the end of the corridor was a vast chamber. Transparent walls revealed a star field so endless it felt like falling just to look at it. And in the center, something floated. A structure, a tall, crystal-like core, spinning slowly, humming with energy that made my chest ache. Gamora stopped. Her voice echoed without her lips moving. "This is why you're here, Donnie." I stared at the glowing core. My voice cracked. "I don't even know who you are." For the first time, she smiled. Not warmly, but like someone who already owned the answer. "You will." Suddenly, the air around me shifted. Shadows moved behind the crystal. 3 new figures stepped out. Taller than Gamora, their faces hidden behind black metallic masks. Their bodies carried a strange, commanding presence. My instincts screamed that they were not soldiers. They were rulers. The one in the middle raised a long staff that pulsed with blue fire. "He's the last," Gamora said, her voice low, almost reverent. "He carries the seed." The masked figure's gaze locked on me. "Then we begin." Blue light surged from the crystal. It hit me like a storm. Cold, sharp, electric. My vision fractured into 1,000 shards. I saw flashes of things I couldn't understand. Giant cities floating in the void, alien children with glowing eyes, battles that tore planets apart, a woman screaming my name in the future that hadn't happened yet. I dropped to my knees, gasping. What? What are you doing to me?" Gamora knelt in front of me. She didn't look like the gentle figure under the bridge anymore. Her eyes burned brighter, like a queen revealing her crown. "We're not hurting you," she whispered. "We're awakening you." The walls began to shake. Alarms in a language I didn't understand echoed through the chamber. The 3 masked aliens turned sharply, their blue flames flaring. Gamora stood up, her expression hardening. "They've found us," one of the masked ones growled. "Impossible," Gamora hissed. "No one can track the core." But the sound grew louder. Something was approaching from outside the ship. I could see flashes through the transparent walls. Black shapes cutting through the starfield, engines roaring silently in the void. "Danny!" Gamora snapped. "Listen to me now!" The glowing chains around me shattered. I fell forward, coughing, still dizzy from whatever the crystal had done to me. "If you want to live," she whispered, "you stay with me." She reached out her hand. For a second, I saw something in her eyes. Not cruelty, not control, but fear. Real fear. The ceiling exploded in a flash of red light. Something slammed into the ship. Sirens wailed. The floor shook. One of the masked aliens shouted commands in their language, and soldiers in black armor swarmed into the chamber. Gamora grabbed my wrist. "Run!" Danny is dragged into a war he doesn't understand, as unknown forces attack the alien ship. Who's coming for him? And why? The world split open. Red light bled through every wall as the ship trembled like a living thing in pain. The sirens screamed in alien tongues, and soldiers flooded the chamber like shadows come to life. My ears rang. My heart slammed against my chest. Gamora's fingers gripped my wrists like iron. "Move, Danny!" she shouted, pulling me through the chaos. I stumbled over broken shards of glowing metal, the floor shifting under my feet as explosions ripped through the ship. Smoke filled the air, not gray but blue, shimmering like broken starlight. It burned my lungs as I tried to breathe. Behind us, the crystal core pulsed violently. The masked rulers barked orders, their voices low and heavy like thunder underwater. Energy shields flared around them, blocking falling debris. "They're boarding!" a soldier shouted in their language. "Seal the passage!" another roared. The hallway ahead twisted like a living creature, walls morphing to protect the core. Gamora dragged me down the spiraling corridor as the ship screamed. Every inch of this place felt alive, like it knew it was dying. "Who's attacking us?" I gasped. She didn't look back. "Someone who wants you dead before you remember who you are. Before I remember who I am." The words punched through the panic like a blade. We turned a corner just as a blast ripped the hallway apart. A hole opened in the wall, and for the first time, I saw space up close. A black ocean of stars, infinite and silent. Fire and debris floated into the void like feathers in the wind. I froze, staring at the darkness. Gamora yanked me back just as another explosion sent shockwaves through the tunnel. "Keep moving," she screamed. "If they get you, everything ends." She pushed me into a narrow chamber. Round walls, glowing veins of silver, strange pods lining both sides like frozen cocoons. One of them opened with a hiss. She shoved me inside. "Wait, what is this?" I shouted. Her face hovered above mine, silver eyes burning with urgency. "A drop capsule. It'll get you off the ship." "And you?" She smirked, a small, sharp edge of defiance. "I'm not going anywhere." Before I could argue, the door slammed shut. The pod vibrated, systems humming. Outside the glass, I saw Gamora turn away, her long coat whipping in the storm of sparks and smoke. Then, something cut through the wall. A black figure stepped out of the fire, tall, armored, carrying a weapon shaped like a jagged blade fused with light. The temperature in the room dropped instantly. The soldiers near him froze, not in fear, in obedience. He wasn't one of them. He was above them. Gamora's voice lowered to a whisper. "No!" The masked soldiers around the core were shouting now, but the figure didn't rush. He moved like someone who owned the room, every step a death sentence. The light from his weapon lit the walls red. Even from inside the pod, I could feel his presence like a storm pressing on my skin. Gamora drew her blade. Her hand trembled, not from fear of dying, but from the weight of who she was about to face. "Kryev," she hissed, "you shouldn't be here." His voice was deep, layered, like more than one person spoke through him. "You should have killed the boy the moment you found him." My heart stopped. Kryev's eyes, black with faint red rings, locked on me inside the pod. For one terrifying second, the air around me froze. I couldn't move, couldn't even breathe. "He is the seed," Kryev said, lifting his weapon, "and the seed must burn." Gamora moved before he finished. Her blade met his with a scream of light. Sparks exploded. The ship howled around them. They clashed again and again, too fast for my eyes to follow. Her silver light against his crimson storm. The pod system roared to life. Ejection sequence initiated. 5, 4, 3. I banged against the glass. "Gamora!" She didn't turn. She just screamed, "Live, Danny!" That's all that matters. Krev's blade sliced through the floor, sending a shockwave that shattered nearby pods. The room imploded around them. My capsule blasted free, spinning into the starfield as the ship tore itself apart behind me. Through the tiny window, I saw Kryev standing on the burning deck, his red eyes still locked on me across the void. 1, 0. Launch. The stars swallowed me whole. I spun away from the burning wreck. The last thing I saw was Gamora disappearing into the fire, and Kryev stepping closer like a nightmare that wasn't done. Danny is launched into space, powerless, while Gamora faces Kryev, a name spoken with fear. But if he's after the seed, then the real war hasn't even started yet. The stars weren't quiet. They screamed. The capsule spun through the void like a bullet without a target. Every nerve in my body felt the silence press harder than any explosion. Outside, a billion cold lights stared back. Distant, dead, or waiting. The pod's system flickered with fractured code. My breath fogged the glass. I didn't know if it was fear or the oxygen running out. Trajectory unstable, the pod's AI rasped. No landing zone detected. I slammed my fist against the control panel. Find something. Anything. But the pod ignored me, locked in its own panic. I was just a passenger, a seed someone else wanted either to protect or destroy. My chest tightened as Kryev's words echoed through my skull. The seed must burn. Who the hell was I? And why did every world seem to want me dead? A sudden jolt, like a fist slamming the pod. Warning lights bathed the chamber in blood red. Outside, a glowing storm ripped through the stars, a cluster of electric clouds swirling like a living beast. Entering ion drift field, the AI whispered. Survival probability, 12%. The pod shook violently. Sparks sprayed from the ceiling. I gritted my teeth, strapping in just as the storm swallowed me whole. Lightning cracked across the glass. Green, gold, violet. For a moment, I wasn't in space. I was inside something alive. A shadow moved in the storm. Number, not a shadow. A ship. Black, silent, waiting like a predator. My pulse hit my throat as a metal claw extended from its hull, latching onto my pod like a hand crushing a heart. A deep metallic sound rolled through the chamber as they reeled me in. The pod door hissed open. The air inside the new ship was colder than death. My breath came out in white clouds. Figures appeared through the fog. Tall, cloaked, silent. Their helmets were smooth and white, featureless, except for a single line of blue light across where their eyes should be. Their steps echoed like stone hitting glass. One of them leaned forward, scanning me with a palm device. He's awake, a distorted voice said. Bring him to Radahasi. Radahasi. Another name. Another storm. They pulled me through narrow corridors, walls breathing with soft blue light. Every step felt like a walk into a trap I couldn't escape. I didn't even resist. I just watched. Burned. Memorized. At the end of the corridor, the world opened. A chamber stretched wide, a domed cathedral made of living metal. Light fell in soft columns, reflecting off floating data crystals. And in the center, sitting on a throne woven from machine tendrils, was her, Radahasi. She wasn't human. Her skin shimmered like deep ocean water, shifting from silver to teal with every breath. Lines of glowing script ran across her arms like rivers of light. Her eyes in burning gold, locked on me with a precision that felt surgical. So, the seed finally falls into my hands, she whispered. The cloaked soldiers shoved me to my knees. The floor felt colder than ice. I tried to speak, but her presence pressed on me like gravity. You don't know what you are, Radahasi said, but they do. That's why Kryev hunts you. That's why Gamora risked everything. My throat tightened. Then tell me, what am I? She leaned forward, her fingers tracing the air. A hologram flared above me. Not of a man, but of a tree. Its roots stretched through stars. Its branches wrapped around entire systems. At its center pulsed something alive, something that looked like my heartbeat. You're not a man, she said softly. You're the code they built the war on. I felt the air leave my lungs. You are the last original algorithm, she continued, the only one who can control the core nexus. Kryev wants to burn the galaxy clean. Gamora wants to save it. But me, I intend to own it. She rose from the throne, walking toward me. Every movement was slow, deliberate, the kind of power that didn't need to shout. She knelt until her golden eyes were level with mine. Serve me, she whispered, and I'll make you a god. The room fell silent. I could hear the pulse of the ship, no, of the world itself, waiting for my answer. My hands trembled, not from fear, but from the weight of power I didn't understand. I opened my mouth to speak, and that's when the alarms exploded. Red light burned through the chamber. A soldier rushed in, breathless. High-speed vessel breaching perimeter. Radahasi's face hardened. Who dares? The wall ripped apart like paper, and through the smoke, a shadow stepped out. Helmet cracked, coat torn, blade glowing like a falling star. Gamora. She didn't look like a savior. She looked like a storm. He's not yours, she growled. The soldiers raised their weapons. Radahasi smiled, slow and cruel. And for the first time, I didn't know who the real enemy was. Gamora storms Radahasi's ship. Kryav still hunts in the dark, and Downey finally learns what he is, the key to everything. Now 2 powers want him, and neither seems safe him. The air cracked. The world stopped breathing. Gamora's blade hummed like a captured star as she stepped through the burning wall. Behind her, black space burned with flashes of silver fire, enemy ships orbiting like hungry vultures. Alarms wailed across Radahasi's throne room. The cloaked soldiers aimed their rifles, their blue visors slicing through the fog. Radahasi didn't move. She stood perfectly still on the steps of her throne, a predator that didn't flinch. Her golden eyes locked on Gamora like 2 blades about to cross. You dare enter my ship, she said softly. With that blade, Gamora's chest rose and fell, each breath trembling with fury. He doesn't belong to you. I could feel their hatred, thick, ancient, alive, and somehow it was all orbiting around me. I was the key neither of them wanted to lose. Before I could stand, 2 soldiers rushed toward me. Gamora spun her wrist, her blade slicing through the air like lightning. One dropped instantly. The other screamed, until her foot crushed his throat with surgical precision. Radahasi raised a single finger. The floor responded. Sharp metallic vines erupted from the ground, twisting around Gamora's arms and legs, pinning her in midair. She gasped, struggling, but the vines only dug deeper, glowing with the same golden light that burned in Radahasi's eyes. You were never meant to interfere, Radahasi whispered. He belongs to the Nexus. He belongs to himself, Gamora spat. Her voice shook the room like thunder. I crawled forward, breathless, heart pounding. This wasn't just a fight between 2 powerful women. It was a war about to ignite the galaxy. My hands trembled as I reached for the control panel on the wall. I didn't know what I was doing. I just knew if I didn't act now, she'd die. The air thickened. The chamber lights dimmed. And then, the walls opened. Dozens of ships surrounded Radahasi's vessel. Dark, winged, fast. Kryov's fleet. Incoming breach, the AI shouted. Unidentified strike force. Radahasi's calm broke. Her face twisted like metal under heat. He's here. The vines flung Gamora across the room and tightened around me instead. Cold metal wrapped my wrists and neck. I couldn't breathe. The floor rumbled like a heart ready to explode. Radahasi leaned closer, her voice a whisper wrapped in poison. You are the seed. And now, every war begins with you. The ceiling split open as Kryv's soldiers stormed in like a black tide. Their armor gleamed red and silver, their visors reflecting the fire of the hangar. At the center of it all stood Kryav, tall, broad, wrapped in armor that pulsed like molten steel. His eyes, jet black, burned straight into mine. Give him to me, Kryav said. He is mine, Radahasi answered. Then die with him. The next second, the world exploded. Blasters screamed. The floor shattered. Smoke tore through the room like a living beast. Kryav moved like a god of war, his blades slicing through soldiers and steel. Radahasi raised her hands, unleashing a storm of energy that cracked the air like lightning. Gamora broke free of the last vine, rolling to the floor and snatching her blade back. Her voice cut through the chaos. Danny! Run! But I couldn't. The vines around my neck were wired to the ship's core. If I moved too fast, I'd trigger the whole system. I could feel the pulse in the walls syncing with my heartbeat. The core nexus was inside this ship. It wasn't a device. It was me. A blast rocked the chamber, throwing bodies across the floor. Radahasi and Kryav clashed at the center, their strikes tearing through steel like paper. Her golden energy met his crimson flames, each impact shaking the ship. The air smelled like burning metal and blood. Gamora reached me, panting, eyes fierce. Her hands trembled as she tried to cut the vines. "We don't have time," she said. "I need you to trust me." I nodded. I didn't know why I trusted her. Maybe because she'd whispered my name before anyone else did. Maybe because, deep down, she felt like the only thing real in a world that kept shifting under my feet. She raised her blade and sliced. Pain like a lightning bolt ripped through my chest. The vines screamed as if they were alive, and then they shattered. The core responded. Every light on the ship turned blood red. The floor vibrated under my skin. I didn't just hear the hum, I felt it. Something ancient, hidden deep inside me, snapped awake. Radahasi froze mid-strike. Kryev stopped moving. Gamora stumbled back as glowing veins of light burned across my arms, racing to my throat, my eyes, my spine. "No," Radahasi whispered. "He's awakening." "Then let him," Kryev growled. The ship's ceiling tore open like a wound, revealing the endless black of space. A beam of pure white light exploded from my chest, ripping through the storm outside, tearing Kryev's fleet and Radahasi's defenses apart like paper. I wasn't just part of the war. I was the war. And then, everything went silent. My vision blurred. A soft voice whispered in my ear, but it wasn't Gamora. "You've finally remembered, my son." The battle ignites, Kryev and Radahasi collide. The core awakens inside Dani, and a mysterious new voice claims to be his father. Retention spike here. Shock, mystery, identity twist. The darkness wasn't empty. It breathed. I floated in a place without gravity, light, or sound. Only a heartbeat that wasn't mine. It pulsed through the void, slow and heavy, like a drum calling soldiers to war. My body was weightless, my breath stolen. Yet, that voice still lingered. "My son." The black cracked like shattered glass and I fell. Fast. I landed hard on a floor of white light. No walls, no ceiling, just a horizon that stretched forever. A single figure stood at the center, wrapped in silver armor carved with ancient runes, a long cape flowing like smoke behind him. His face was hidden beneath a mask etched with gold. "For Dani," the voice said. It wasn't loud, but it vibrated through my bones. "I've waited a long time." I clenched my fists. "Who the hell are you?" He removed the mask, and for the first time, I saw a face that looked like mine. Older, sharper, carved by war. His eyes burned with a soft white fire. "I am Zarian," he said, "the one who built the core, and the one who created you." My stomach twisted. Created, not born. "You're lying." "No, you are not human. You are the final key, the only living access to the Nexus. I forged your code before this war even began." I stumbled back, my breath catching. Flashes assaulted my vision. Cities burning, metal forests collapsing, an entire world torn apart by fire. A small boy, me, being carried through flames by a woman with silver hair and blood on her hands. "She tried to hide you," Zarian said softly, "but the war found you anyway." "Gamora," I whispered. "She is a soldier." Nothing more. Her mission was to bring you back to me. My chest felt like it was being crushed. "No, she wouldn't. Not after everything. She saved me." "She delivered you," Zarian corrected, "exactly as ordered." The floor rippled beneath me, scenes unfolding in living light. Gamora speaking with Radahasi in secret. Gamora activating a beacon. Gamora whispering my name that first night under the bridge. Not as a friend, as a hunter. My pulse roared in my ears. The warmth I'd felt for her curdled into something sharp. "No," I breathed. "You're twisting it." Zarian stepped closer. "She was programmed long before you ever met her. She's an infiltration hybrid. She was made to make you trust her." The light cracked again, and the world shifted. I opened my eyes and I was back on Radahasi's ship, but everything was burning. Flames licked the walls. Kryev's soldiers clashed with Radahasi's guards. Smoke choked the air. And standing right in front of me, blade drawn, breathing hard, was Gamora. Donnie, she whispered, reaching for me. I thought I lost you. I stepped back. Tell me the truth, I rasped. She froze. What beacon did you activate the night we met? Her lips trembled. Her blade lowered slightly. It was to keep you safe. You were sent for me. Tears burned in her golden eyes. Yes, but it wasn't like that. The ship shook violently. Kryev's forces blasted through the hull. Zarian's fleet appeared outside, blotting out the stars with massive black ships. We were surrounded, every enemy and every liar. Radahasi roared orders. Kryev ignited his crimson blade. Zarian's voice echoed through every speaker on the ship. Bring him to me. Gamora grabbed my wrist. Danny, listen to me. I didn't lie about everything. I chose you. I yanked my arm away. Then why didn't you tell me? She stared at me like someone drowning. Because they would have killed you. All around us, the ship trembled under enemy fire. Radahasi was screaming. Kryev's blade tore through steel. But all I could hear was the silence between us, the sound of something breaking inside me. I looked at her, and for the first time, I didn't know if I saw a savior or a weapon. I trusted you, I whispered. Then trust me one last time, she pleaded, or you'll never make it out alive. And then everything collapsed at once. Kryev burst into the corridor, dragging Radahasi by the throat. Zarian's fleet fired a beam straight through the ship. Gravity failed. We were thrown into the air as the world split in half. I saw stars, flames, her face, his voice, and then darkness again. But not empty this time. This darkness had chains. The chains were cold, not metal, code. I hung in a chamber suspended between real space and something else. Black and white fractured like broken mirrors around me. Streams of light pulsed through the air like veins inside a giant machine. And at the center, Zarian. His eyes burned white, his armor now fused with the Nexus itself. He stood on a platform of pure energy, hands raised like a god who'd finally built his kingdom. Welcome home, my son, he said softly. This is what you were made for. I struggled against the glowing restraints digging into my wrists. They didn't hurt. They hummed. They were syncing with me, pulling something out from inside my chest. Something alive. I'm not your son, I spat. He chuckled, not cruelly, but like someone who had already won. Oh, but you are. Every algorithm inside the Nexus has your signature. I didn't just make the weapon, I made the world. The walls shifted around us, forming giant windows overlooking space. Outside, chaos. Radahasi's surviving ships burned. Kryev's fleet was in flames. Zarion's armada blotted out the stars like a storm. This wasn't a battle anymore. It was a funeral for everything. And then I saw her. Gamora. 4. She was inside one of the invading ships, fighting through soldiers, every step leaving a trail of blood and fire. Her face was bruised, her blade cracked, but her eyes, they were locked on me. Even after everything, and she was still coming. You see, Zarian said, tilting his head, even programmed weapons have loyalty. To their maker, she's not yours. No, he said, she's yours. Because she was built to be the chains squeezed tighter. Memories slammed into my skull. Labs, circuits, fire, a woman screaming, a man standing in shadow. Me, locked in a glass cradle. Zarian's voice whispering, one day you'll open the door for me. He raised his hand, and a massive structure unfolded from the Nexus. A golden crown of light floating above the platform. Its pulse echoed in my chest. This is the core, he whispered, the code that controls the entire network. Every planet, every ship, every life. You're not a prisoner, Danny. You're the key. I could feel it. The Nexus reaching out, like it was alive and calling my name. All I had to do was give in, and the galaxy would be mine. But if I did, I'd become him. The chamber cracked as Gamora burst through the side wall, fire and steel in her wake. She fell to her knees panting, blood running down her temple. Her golden eyes found mine. Danny, she gasped, don't let him take you. Zarion turned slowly, almost amused. Still playing the savior? She raised her blade, cracked, flickering, but steady. I was never saving him. He saved me. Something in me snapped. The chains pulsed again, and I pulled, not with strength, but with something deeper. The entire chamber shook. The crown of light above Zarion flared as the restraints fractured. Sparks erupted. The Nexus screamed like a living thing. "Stop," Zarion thundered. "You'll destroy everything." "Good," I said. The chains shattered. White energy burned across my skin, veins glowing brighter than stars. I wasn't human. I wasn't machine. I was both. And for the first time, it didn't scare me. Gamora stumbled forward. Zarion roared, and then the final battle began. Lightning and fire collided as Zarion charged, his blade a white-hot spear. Gamora lunged beside me, a broken blade but unbroken will. I caught Zarion's strike with my bare hands, the impact splitting the platform in half. Every sound was louder than war. Every heartbeat was a drumbeat of the end. Zarion struck again, but this time I struck back. The energy inside me surged outward, slamming him into the wall hard enough to crack the metal. Gamora leaped, spinning through the air like a flame, slicing his armor. But he was relentless. "You think you can kill a god?" he growled. "No," I breathed, light burning through me. "I'll erase you." The crown pulsed above us. The Nexus screamed. I reached up, felt its heartbeat merge with mine, and pulled it down like a falling star. The world exploded. Waves of golden light swept through the chamber. The fleets outside tore themselves apart like paper. Radahasi's ship disintegrated. Kryev's fleet burned out. Zarion fell to his knees, screaming as the very code he built turned against him. "You can't control it," he gasped. "I don't have to," I said. I let the crown dissolve into my chest, and for one infinite second, I was everything. Every ship, every star, every mind screaming in the void. Then I looked at Gamora. She was crying, real tears. Not programming, not code. "What now?" she whispered. "Now," I said softly. "We choose." I turned to Zarion. His armor cracked, his face twisted in rage and fear. I could end him, with a thought, one breath. But then his final words cut through the storm. "Kill me, and you become me." The Nexus pulsed, waiting for my decision. Gamora's hand touched mine. Warm, shaking, human. For the first time, the choice wasn't coded. It was mine. I stepped closer to Zarion. He closed his eyes, waiting for the end. And then, I whispered, "No." I pulled the power away. Zarion screamed as the Nexus swallowed him, dragging him into the void he created. The crown shattered into light. The war ended in silence. But the silence wasn't peace. The chamber collapsed. The fleets were gone. Worlds would rise or burn based on what I became next. Gamora leaned against me, exhausted, whispering, "You're free now." I looked at the stars burning like open wounds. "No," I said, "I'm something else." And then the screen went black, except for a single line of golden code hovering in the void. System reboot detected.